Hello, health champions. Dr. Elizabeth Monroe here. Today, I want to walk you through a question I get asked constantly. What actually happens inside your body if you drink garlic water every single day for 30 days? And before we get to the 30-day results, I have to tell you something that surprises almost everyone. Most people who try this never get the benefits they're hoping for, simply because of how they prepare it. So stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to do this right and what you can realistically expect to feel, see, and even measure in your blood work. Let's start with why garlic is even worth talking about in the first place. Garlic is one of the most studied natural compounds in medicine. Most people know garlic is good for your immune system, but they don't know why. Garlic is powerfully antimicrobial, and I mean that in the broadest sense of the word. It's antibacterial, and it's effective even against some antibiotic-resistant strains, including certain strains of E. coli and MRSA. It's antifungal, taking on common overgrowths like Candida albicans. That's the yeast overgrowth so many of you have heard about, along with several other fungal species. It's antiviral too, with research showing activity against influenza, upper respiratory viruses, and even herpes simplex virus. So here's a practical tip right out of the gate. The moment you feel that first tickle in your throat, that first hint of a cold coming on, that is exactly when you want to reach for garlic. And I'll show you the right way to take it in just a moment. It's also antiparasitic, with documented activity against organisms like amoebas. So when we say garlic is good for your immune system, what we really mean is that it's fighting on 4 different fronts at once: bacteria, fungi, viruses, and parasites. That's a remarkably broad spectrum for a single food. Your heart and your blood vessels. Now let's talk about your cardiovascular system, because this is where garlic gets really interesting. In controlled studies, simply eating garlic has been shown to lower systolic blood pressure by roughly 7 to 16 points, and diastolic pressure by about 5 to 9 points. It also reduces arterial stiffness, which helps your body regulate blood pressure more efficiently overall. Part of how it does this is by enhancing the activity of nitric oxide, a natural vasodilator that increases the flexibility and elasticity of your arteries. Garlic also behaves a bit like an ACE inhibitor medication. ACE stands for angiotensin-converting enzyme. Angiotensin is a hormone your body uses to tighten blood vessels when it needs to raise blood pressure. That's useful in small doses, but when your body does it too aggressively, it becomes a problem. By gently inhibiting angiotensin activity, garlic helps take some of that pressure off. And, unlike pharmaceutical ACE inhibitors, it does this without the typical medication's side effects. On top of that, garlic reduces the stickiness of your platelets, those tiny blood components responsible for clotting. You want platelets to clot when you're injured, but you don't want them clumping unnecessarily, because that's how dangerous clots form. Garlic helps keep that process in healthy balance. Blood sugar, insulin, and metabolic health. Garlic also has a direct effect on insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome. Research shows it can lower fasting insulin, fasting glucose, and something called HOMA-IR, that stands for Homeostatic Model Assessment of Insulin Resistance, and it's essentially a calculation doctors use to estimate how insulin-sensitive your body is. In plain terms, garlic helps your cells respond better to insulin. Studies measuring this have also found reductions in waist circumference, blood lipids, and blood pressure in people consuming garlic regularly. And because metabolic syndrome is so closely tied to fatty liver disease, it's worth noting that garlic has also been shown to help reduce non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Cholesterol and inflammation. Garlic also affects your overall cardiovascular risk markers, including total cholesterol and LDL cholesterol. Now, I want to pause here. Because cholesterol gets a bad reputation it doesn't always deserve. Your body manufactures cholesterol, including LDL, often specifically to deliver healing compounds to damaged tissue. So when there's less inflammation and less damage circulating in your bloodstream, your body simply doesn't need to produce as much of it. Garlic also improves glycemic markers, meaning your blood sugar control, and it reduces inflammation and oxidative stress. I cannot overstate how important this is. Inflammation and oxidative stress are the two biggest contributors to chronic degenerative disease. We're talking heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia, and type 2 diabetes. Nearly all of our major chronic illnesses trace back to these two processes in some way. There's one more piece to this puzzle. When inflammation goes down, LDL damage goes down too. It's not LDL itself that's dangerous, it's oxidized, damaged LDL. With less inflammation, your body produces more of the larger, fluffy LDL particles, which research shows are far less harmful than the small, dense, damaged variety. Your gut microbiome garlic also has a meaningful impact on your digestion and your gut microbiome, and it does this in a few different ways. First, garlic contains a prebiotic fiber called fructans, or fructooligosaccharides. You can't digest these yourself, but the beneficial bacteria living in your gut absolutely can, and they thrive on them. Second, remember that broad antimicrobial action we talked about earlier? That same action helps rebalance your gut flora, generally favoring beneficial species over harmful ones. Here's something fascinating though, and I want you to pay close attention to this part. Garlic can improve digestion and reduce bloating in some people, and make it noticeably worse in others. If that happens to you, it doesn't necessarily mean anything is wrong with garlic. It usually means you shouldn't overdo it, and it can actually teach you something valuable about your own gut. If you're sensitive to FODMAPs, that stands for fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols, which includes sugar alcohols. That sensitivity often points to a specific bacterial imbalance, sometimes even small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, known as SIBO. One way to investigate this is to temporarily eliminate high FODMAP foods and see if your symptoms improve. If they do, that's a strong clue. It could also be related to an overgrowth of bacteria that specifically process sulfur, feed those bacteria more sulfur, and you may feel some irritation. But I want to be clear, this isn't unique to garlic. Virtually everything you eat gets processed by your microbiome, and foods you tolerate poorly usually say more about your bacterial balance than about the food itself. Liver detox support. Garlic also supports liver detoxification through its sulfur compounds, which assist what's called phase 2 detoxification. In phase 1, your liver takes a toxic compound and makes it less dangerous. In phase 2, it needs to actually package that compound up and get it out of the body, a process called conjugation, where the liver attaches a molecule to the toxin to make it water-soluble so it can be flushed out through bile or urine. Garlic's sulfur compounds also support your glutathione pathway, and glutathione is widely considered your body's master antioxidant. The most important part: how to actually get these benefits. Now here's where most people go wrong, and it's the entire reason I wanted to make this video. Garlic contains an incredible compound called allicin, but here's the twist. Raw, whole garlic doesn't actually contain any allicin at all. It's created the moment you crush or damage the clove. Inside the garlic, two separate compounds are stored in separate compartments, an amino acid called allicin and an enzyme called alliinase. As long as the clove stays intact, they never meet. The instant you crush it, those compartments rupture, the two compounds combine, and allicin is formed. But allicin is extremely unstable. It almost immediately starts breaking down into other compounds, including diallyl sulfide, diallyl disulfide, diallyl trisulfide, and a compound called ajoine. This matters enormously because allicin is the only compound in garlic responsible for that broad antimicrobial action we covered at the start. The antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, and antiparasitic effects. Once allicin breaks down into diallyl sulfide and its relatives, you still get real benefits: circulation support, arterial flexibility, antioxidant activity. But you lose the antimicrobial punch. Ajoine, meanwhile, supports healthy blood flow and reduces stickiness. And the fructans we mentioned remain the prebiotic fiber feeding your gut bacteria throughout. So if your goal is immune support, allicin is the compound you're chasing, and it's fragile, fast-acting, and easy to destroy by accident. The correct method, step by step. Allicin formation requires oxygen, and it takes about 7 to 10 minutes after crushing to reach its peak concentration. After that window, it begins degrading rapidly. It's so unstable it can even evaporate, and it's destroyed quickly by both heat and further oxygen exposure. So, ironically, the very oxygen that creates allicin is also what eventually breaks it down. Here's the method I recommend. Crush 1 to 2 garlic cloves using a garlic press, not a knife, not a chopper. Slicing or chopping doesn't rupture nearly as many cell compartments as pressing does, so you'll generate far less allicin that way. Let the crushed garlic sit exposed to air at room temperature for 7 to 10 minutes. This is non-negotiable. It's the step almost everyone skips, and it's the single biggest reason people don't get the antimicrobial benefits they're expecting. After that resting period, add the garlic to cold or room temperature water, never hot water. There's a hard threshold here, around 60 degrees Celsius or 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Allicin is destroyed almost instantly, so this should never feel like making tea. Once it's in the water, drink it within 30 to 45 minutes, because the clock is already ticking from the moment you crush the clove. If the floating garlic pieces feel a little intense for your taste, you can let the crushed garlic sit in the water for a couple of minutes. 2 minutes is usually plenty, 5 at most, and then strain it out. Allicin is water-soluble, so it dissolves into the water quickly, meaning you still get the benefit even after straining out the solids. And if you enjoy lemon water, there's nothing stopping you from adding a squeeze of lemon to your garlic water. You'll get the benefits of both. One more preparation option worth knowing: garlic butter. Mixing freshly crushed garlic into soft, not melted, butter extends the allicin's usable window slightly, up to about 2 hours, because the fat helps shield it from oxygen. Just make sure the butter is soft, not melted, since melted butter is often hot enough to damage the allicin. And skip the store-bought garlic butter entirely. By the time it reaches the shelf, the allicin has already broken down completely. As for cooking garlic, once you go past that 140 degrees Fahrenheit threshold, allicin is destroyed almost immediately. That doesn't mean cooked garlic is useless. You still get real benefits from the breakdown compounds, like circulation and antioxidant support. You just won't get the antimicrobial effect. Personally, I use both approaches. I'll make fresh garlic water or garlic butter when I want that immune-targeted effect, and I also cook generously with garlic in almost everything else I make, because those other compounds and benefits still come through beautifully. What you might notice over 30 days. So, if you take me up on this 30-day challenge, prepared the right way, here's realistically what many people report. Improved circulation is one of the most common. A lot of people notice warmer hands and feet within the first couple of weeks. If your blood pressure was elevated to begin with, you may see a measurable reduction. But I want to be clear, this isn't like a blood pressure medication that will push your numbers down if they're already normal or low. It works with your body's regulation, not against it. You might also notice digestive changes, and as we discussed, that could go either direction. improvement, or, in some people, temporary worsening. If it's the latter, that's not a failure. It's information about your gut. Many people also report easier breathing and clearer sinuses, along with improved energy and mental clarity. If you get blood work done before and after, you might see improvements in glucose, insulin, and triglycerides. And if you're doing this heading into cold and flu season, don't be surprised if you simply don't get sick this year, or if symptoms are noticeably milder if you do. Because garlic also reduces overall inflammation, some people notice less day-to-day joint pain and stiffness as well. Give this a real, honest try. Prepare it correctly, give it the full 30 days, and pay attention to how your body responds. Let me know in the comments how it goes for you. If you found this useful, I think you're going to love the video right after this one. And if you want to keep learning how your body actually works, not the watered-down version, the real science, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode.